What is something that instantly killed the crush you had on someone? When he tried to finger me with Cheeto dust fingers. It ain't easy ben cheesy. Started dating a girl. After a couple of weeks I went to her house and it was a disgusting mess. Trash piled up everywhere, old food and fast food drinks. They had a bunch of animals and didn't clean up after them when they ate. There was rotten wet food all over the floor and walls. Animal pee all over the place. Killed any romantic feeling real quick. This semi-popular preppy guy at my middle school and I hit it off pretty well. And then he just sat there with his buddies bullying kids with disabilities. Then his clique was super nice to the hot young paraeducator that worked in the special ed classroom, and they volunteered, only to make the kids' lives miserable. He asked me out later. I declined. This is freaking terrible. He argued with the waiter because they didn't stock Cabernet, only Cabernet Sauvignon. He insisted just Cabernet was a thing. Now, I don't know any better myself, but I know I wouldn't get along with someone so convinced he's right that he'd argue with the man who literally serves wine for a living. Also, just Cabernet is definitely not a thing. Source: worked in the wine industry for 7 years. She was telling me her boyfriend issues, then casually mentioned he was married like her last boyfriend. Later I found out she dated 3 married guys and a gay dude she almost married. She told me all about her fantastic exciting life, but the more I got to know her, the more holes I notices in her tales. Turned out she was just an adept pathological liar, and I literally didn't know her at all. The girl she had painted a picture of, across 3 weeks and multiple dates, was entirely fictional. The magic died when I asked about a small inconsistency, giving her the benefit of the doubt, and she blew up at me, turned everything I had told her about my life into an attack on my character, and then acted as if she said it for my benefit. All that just to deflect from my question. I genuinely wonder how do people like these are able to get through life. I had a crush on a customer at my job. Then I found out he was dating, and later married, the popular girl from my high school class. I can now talk to him without blushing. It was amazing how instant it was. When her petulant child slapped me across the face, and she laughed about it. Also she talks about herself in the third person. This cute girl's daughter walked up to me and farted on my leg and then started giggling at me. At first, the mom just rolls her eyes, until I leaned down and belched in her daughter's smiling face. Little girl starts bawling and runs to mama, who can't stop laughing at her own crying child. Probably my proudest moment as an adult. My ex one time wanted me to hang out in the bathroom while he was showering, so he could tell me about his day. After a few minutes the most god awful smell to ever grace my nostrils appeared and I started coughing. In between trying to breathe and trying to ask what happened, he interrupted me and laughed saying, "Sorry babe, I couldn't wait any longer," and he showed me that he took a dump in the shower. I was pretty grossed out, but accidents happen I guess. Then he started smashing it with his foot so it would go down the drain. Oh don't worry babe, I do this all the time. I was done at that point. These stories are traumatizing me. He picked his nose and wiped it on a door handle. People were watching. My dad did this on his first date with my mum. She took it that he had plenty of confidence. He sent and wanted nudes to my close friends, at the same time as we were having a normal conversation. I won't say this was instant, but I started to figure out she really wants attention on her at all time. If people start talking about crap she has no idea about, she will just start talking out her butt to be center of conversation, and if people still don't care she will just leave the conversation and join another one where people will listen to mostly her. That is a big no about people I get involved with. I am rather laid back person, and probably could not handle spending significant time with someone like that. Sounds like my wife's friend. If the topic isn't her, or something she can comment on, she'll just blurt out something to get the focus back on her. She's 43 and very, very single. How reckless she was. It was cute at first, but then she's gonna die soon. Plus with recklessness usually comes selfishness. Thanks for this. You're the first one to introduce this theory to me, and it seems true. I've just never connected the two trays. Source: am reckless and selfish. He was broad-shouldered, and had wavy dark blonde hair, and a cleft chin. He sat in front of me in Biology 101, and about halfway through the semester he said, "Hi, I died inside." His voice was melodious and deep. I knew he meant, "I love you." He wore thick whale corduroy pants and a nice button-down Oxford shirt, and had a worn leather backpack. He was very handsome. Tuesday, Thursday in that 3-credit class I put on my tightest Guess jeans, waited until he was there, then sat down behind him and said hi. He would smile and say hello. I died every time. I told my roommates about him. Summer came and we all went home. I was in my local bar with my friends and there he was. I couldn't believe it. "Hey," I said, "how are you?" He looked up from his beer. "Whoa, hi," he said. We chit-chat for a little bit. It was the early 1980s, in a rural area. "Hey, can you do me a favor?" "Sure." "Can you act like my girlfriend?" What, was this a ploy to get me to be his actual girlfriend? Could my dream boyfriend be true? He put his arm around the guy next to him. Yep, he likes boys. Crush gone. We stayed friends for a while. He was super fun, and I always thought he was so handsome. In truth, it might have been maybe dangerous for him to come out, so when I look back at it, I'm glad he thought he could trust me. What a hidden gem within these other comments. In the mid-2000s, I had a few community college courses with a good friend of mine. In our English class, there was this girl that he was immediately smitten with. They started hanging out all the time. I'm pretty sure they might have actually been frickin', but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, one of our assignments was to write a paper about our biggest hero and to present it to the class. I wrote about my World War II veteran grandfather. My friend wrote about his music teacher from high school. And then she gets up and starts talking about Hitler. Later, our professor said his favorite moment of the year was the look of absolute horror on our faces as she spoke. Whatever he had with her ended instantly. Had a major crush on a neighbor friend of mine for years. Eventually I built up the confidence to tell her. She didn't feel the same way. Fair enough. The next day we were both going to a mutual friend's party. I walked in the door and overheard some of her conversation with her cousin, which went something like this. "Cousin, why don't you give him a chance? Crush, because he's ugly." Yep, not only did it kill the crush, but it absolutely killed my confidence. This hit too close to home. Had a crush on a friend of mine. We hung out a lot. One thing led to another and he was aware of my crush on him. Someone asked him something and he responded, "I would go for with her, but I want a GF that's actually hot." Right in front of me. It hit two birds with one stone, lol. I had a crush on this guy in my church for years as a teenager. I started liking him at like 12 or 13 and was undyingly in love, or so I thought. When I turned 18, I was about to move out and he asked me on a lunch date. That night when I got home, my mom was on the phone kinda bragging to her friend that I finally got the date I wanted for so long. Her friend was like, you need to keep your daughter away from him." Turns out he was babysitting for a neighbor, a family I actually babysat for and a family in our church too. And he took one of the little girls into the bathroom and made her take off her diaper or panties or something and was touching her when the older sister walked in. The family moved away and he was in a very complicated legal case after that. I don't know the results because the family moved away and I moved to college, and nobody heard anything. Even if it wasn't true though, I lost all crushes and anything else for the loser. Complete and utter laziness. There was a girl in my class once I was crushing on mad hard. She was real cute and I didn't have the courage to actually have a conversation with her. Fast forward to the end of the semester. We are doing a group project and we wind up in the same group. After days and days of trying to find a good time for all of us to meet, we eventually meet at the library just a few days before the project is due. I'm already mad going in, because I've been ready to get started for a while now. She shows up, sits down, and contributes nothing the entire time. Doesn't chime in with anything useful, doesn't offer to do anything, just sits there. We eventually agree to do our own parts on our own and bring it all together later on. She was supposed to do a few slides and nothing more. I don't think she even had to research anything. Just take what we already did and make it look good. The night before, she still doesn't contribute a goddamn thing and I ended up having to BS her slides last minute. Didn't exactly have a crush on her after that. I tried once to be the person in the group that does nothing. After 3 years of doing my work plus others and university, I got sick of it. This lasted for all of 5 minutes before I felt terribly guilty. I don't know how some people can just feel okay with contributing nothing. Wasn't me, but I saw it happen to my friend. It was his going away party. He got accepted to an Ivy League school, and he had a crush on Miss, our hometown. She was still as drop dead gorgeous. He decided this bonfire party would be his night. He was going for it. They were somewhat friends and she flirted with him sometimes. Right as he's telling us, we hear her go, "I've never even read a book in my life. Some girl asked about as a child or required reading for classes. I said I've never read a book in my life." My friend grabbed the whiskey bottle and downed a good bit saying he was gonna need it. He almost got there and then came back later that night saying she was absolutely too stupid to talk to. He should have given her the Moby Dong instead. She admitted to making out with her stepdad every now and then like it was no big deal. I've seen that movie. She casually mentioned how many guys she has dated to get free perks. She called it breakfast, lunch, dinner, and that's exactly what it was. She would set up multiple dates on the same days, so she would be wined and dined. I'm kind of impressed at her commitment. Even barring any moral compass, I don't think I would have the energy go on 3 dates a day, especially with people I'm not interested in. That sounds like a terrible way to spend a day. Was talking to a dude. We had like held hands but nothing past that. One day he confessed he was in love with me. Little quick buddy, but that's not even what stopped me. Commented I look just like his ex. Even if that's true, never say it. I can't remember much more besides wanting to stop him mid-speech and give him pointers on asking someone out. So I knew it wasn't going anywhere when my friend asked me to help cover up hikes from that dude. She didn't know we had been talking. I didn't know they had been past talking. I bowed out, said you can have him but I don't think you should. Found out later he was talking to 5 of us at once. One was married, and the married chick noped out of there fast. The others fought over this pose. Hickey girl won, and they started dating. Out of nowhere he tells me he would drop her in a second if I would give him a chance. No. I told her everything. Showed her the texts. Trying to save her from heartache. Didn't listen or care. They're now married, with kids, and he cheats so often she started cheating back in retaliation. I was invited to the wedding and said frick no. Holy crap. I was casually dating this guy, as in, we had only recently met and only been on a couple of dates. Back in college, he was educated, had a good job and his own place, polite, etc. Basically, no immediate red flags. One day, he wanted me to come over for a casual pizza night at his place. I had just finished up a 12+ hour long day due to my scheduling combination of non-stop classes and a part-time job. I was exhausted and did not feel like spending nearly an hour doing my hair and makeup to get all dolled up for such a casual date. I texted him something along the lines of, "I had a long day. Can we keep it casual tonight? I hope you're okay with yoga pants and a hoodie." He responded with, "Actually, no, that's not okay. When you're spending time with me, you should always make a full effort to look your absolute best." Then, he started trying to tell me what to wear. Something along the lines of, "Why don't you put on a pretty dress? Make yourself look nice for me." It was one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had. After he made the dress comment, I simply stopped responding. I never spoke to him again. He kept on texting me for a while, asking what was wrong and why I had just disappeared. I honestly don't think he realized what he said was so off-putting. My brain went to Patrick Bateman-Jan. Next time, high heels. I like high heels. He randomly sent me pictures of his dong. It really weirded me out because there was nothing in the conversation that could have led up to that and I didn't know what to say, so I just told him nice PP fam, then never talked to him again. If you ever receive an unsolicited dong pic, send a nicer looking dong back. It makes most men uncomfortable. Back when I was in school, I liked this girl who was all unique and stood up for herself. Just a real character. One day though, I was sitting there waiting for my class to start and I overheard her talking about how she chased down a bird, caught it, then squeezed it till it threw up. It was totally in a joking manner too. She was laughing about it. I didn't even look at her the rest of the year. Shoot's not okay. It's okay to admire birds and handle the, if you're gentle but you gotta be fricked up to squeeze one till it throws up. Freaking butthole. I met who I thought was a sweet girl in college. One day we were walking around campus and talking. We talked about pets. She told me that she had a purebred English sheepdog that she had put down right before she left for college because she didn't want anybody else to have him. I told her off, walked away, and never spoke to her again. Saw him at a family reunion. That's never ideal. I'm an engineering major and so is this guy and his roommate. His roommate is struggling but he doesn't want to help him. So I help his roommate and he just hovers nearby and then scoffs and then says to his roommate, being taught engineering material by a girl, "You're so stupid TBF." They are both foreign exchange students so the culture is probably different but the fact that he wouldn't spare a minute for his roommate friend and then spoke as if girls are incapable engineers made it really hard to like the guy. I hardly even hung out with him by the time last semester ended. Dang. Even if this exchange was partially a cultural thing, in this context he insulted you directly. I had the beginnings of a crush on a guy I'd met through mutual friends. Started hanging out and getting to know each other a little bit. Hung out with him and his friends at a bowling alley and he and his friend started basically beating the crap out of each other for no reason. Pretty positive he did it to impress me. I didn't like that at all so was already mentally on my way out. And then he sent me a text saying he was falling in love with me after 3 days. Right after I mentioned that we should take it slow. Nope. Abort. When I was in 8th grade, there was this quiet girl in one of my classes that I thought was really cute, but since she was so shy, I rarely talked to her. One day in class as I was doodling on one of my notebooks, she asked I was drawing, to which I replied it was a Van Halen logo. It was the mid-80s. She didn't know who that was, so when I explained it to her, her face got real grim, and she said, "That's devil's music. You're going to heck for listening to that noise." I laughed, but she was serious. I rarely ever spoke to her again after that day. Had a crush on a girl on off for like 3 years in high school. We were great friends for the whole way through though. Anyway, during Christmas of my first year of college her sister sent me a Snapchat of this girl I liked lying on the floor, practically in tears, screaming "IT's the wrong one." I responded with something along the lines of "Oh frick, what happened?" Turns out her mom got her a PS4 for Christmas, but it was the Uncharted edition. She wanted the Last of Us edition. She liked both games and was going to get both of them anyway at some point. That's when 3 years of built-up romantic feels just fell out of me like Taco Bell with laxatives. Her sister was being a solid bro for you. On our first date, he screamed at the waitress for taking too long, only about 5 minutes, plus they were busy, to bring out our dessert after we ordered. She kept apologizing even though she did nothing wrong, but he kept going on and on until she offered to comp our meal. As soon as she walked away he gave me the douchiest smile and said, "See that? With me, you'll always eat for free." I left what would have been the total for my meal plus 20% as a tip for her when he wasn't looking. I was totally planning on a second date right up until that moment. Glad I dodged that one. I just can't believe anybody would think that behavior makes them look attractive. Who the frick is Sean? My little brother, who I talked about yesterday. So not only did he not listen when I talked about people who are important to me, he was aggressively possessive and jealous. I dated a guy who would verbally crap on my brother all the time, and by this point in the relationship I had been manipulated enough that I just let it happen. Biggest regret. Took everything I had not to blow up at him when he said sorry for your loss when said brother died. Like, take that fake crap away from me. Saw her kick a stray cat on the street. I ain't gonna love someone who just abuses animals like that. Crap, I'd stop walking right then and there and just verbally crap on her. I freaking love animals, that is not okay. I was about 14 in the late 90s, working basically as a volunteer babysitter teacher's assistant in Vacation Bible School in rural Mississippi. One of the older boys was 16 and quite attractive. We were both assigned to clean up the arts and crafts room, which had been completely destroyed by a pack of children. We walk in, he scoffs and says, "What the frick? I ain't cleaning this crap up. My skin ain't black. I've never lost an attraction to someone so fast in my life." Vacation Bible School in rural Mississippi. Yup. Saw a girl who was mad cute. She placed wintergreen long cut chew, the size of a baseball, into her upper lip. Instant crush color. We went on a date, it went well, and we were both busy but looking forward to seeing each other again. We sent flirty texts back and forth. He apparently forgot that we had friends in common because he sent one of my pics. Didn't have my face, but still, to a mutual guy friend. Yeah, guy friend sent it to me to let me know he had it. There was no second date. As of the end of my most recent relationship, I had a repository of at least 100 nude steamy pics from her. When we split, I deleted all of them. I felt like keeping them was counterproductive to my progressing past the breakup. B. A right crappy thing to do. Just my 2C. He kicked a dog out of his way and saw no problem with that. Unacceptable. Should have kicked him. When I was in 7th, I heard his friend saying go talk to her. Go talk to her, so I was waiting there all excited. So, how much do you weigh? His friend in the background screamed anything but that. Other friend, mission failed. We'll get him next time. Ran into an old ex at a party, ended up shutting the world out and talking to him for 4 hours. I noticed a group of people talking about us. Didn't care enough to find out what it was about because I was very into what was happening with my ex. Then one dude from that group comes and asks us a question, has a stutter and gets nervous when he can't make out the word and stutters more. So I tell him to take his time and that it's no big deal. Ex tells him it's okay and not to worry. Then after the guy walks away, ex goes, I don't like that he didn't thank us for being chill about the stuttering. Off topic, but from someone with a stutter, thank you for letting him take his time. Ignorance. She was pretty but she didn't know anything. Ignorance can be corrected if someone wants to. Dumb can't be fixed. I'm not going to link her name, but she's a relatively famous Instagram fitness model that lives in the same town as me. She had a rocking body that I was crushing on super hard. Ran into her at a bar one night and ended up taking her home. The whole way home consisted of her talking about how great she was and generally just being condescending about anyone who wasn't up to her standard. Basically thought she was special for some really basic qualities to a fault. Never been more turned off by a non-physical attribute so quickly in my life. Looking at her page now, it's clear as day that she's super vain. But it took me meeting her to really grasp just how someone's crappy personality can make a gorgeous person hideous. I didn't even know I had those sort of standards for women I wanted to sleep with, so I guess overall it was a net gain. I was on a second or third date with a really attractive girl in college and she told me a story about her week. I knew she was religious and it didn't really bother me, as an atheist, until she explained that she stayed out really late and got drunk. This caused her to oversleep the next day and miss a midterm that was like 40% of her grade in a class. She then told me it's okay, it's all God's plan. He must want me to fail and take I again. My parents will understand. Instant vibe killer. I can't be with someone who has zero personal responsibility. Sure enough, she stopped paying attention or going to that class and failed it and ended up failing 3-4 other classes and dropped out after she got married and pregnant. Though there were rumors it wasn't in that order. In her junior year. Dodge a bullet. When I was at school I fancied a boy so much that I couldn't concentrate on anything else, but it turned out he didn't like me back. I was crushed until a friend suggested that I imagine him taking a long, steamy crap. I mean, imagine the whole process from start to finish. The expression on his face, the noises, the wiping. Really imagine it. He fell off his pedestal pretty quickly after that. I'm keeping this technique. This is awesome. I had a dream where the guy I fancied kissed me but a pea fell out of his mouth and into mine. Even though it wasn't real, it just killed any feelings I had. I literally saw her eat the puss of her own zit. That is freaking horrific. You have been spotted by the money pigeon. Comment gimme gimme and he will bless you with good fortune. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.